Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Daybreak on Trust Television. The atmosphere is supercharged for this morning's conversation. Nigeria is faced with an unprecedented wave of different but overlapping security crises, from kidnapping to extremist insurgency. Almost every other corner of the country has been hit by violence and crime. Earlier this week, the nation's capital came under attack by the elements of Boko Haram and ISWAP. The attack led to the death of some officers of the Nigerian army. On Tuesday, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, placed all its state commands on alert following intelligence reports that Boko Haram terrorists, as well as those of the Islamic States of West Africa Province, ISWAP, have heightened plots to attack the nation's capital, Abuja, and 5 other states, including Lagos. The question now is, are Nigerian security architecture overwhelmed? We have joining us in the studio this morning retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Mr. Wilson Inaligu. You're welcome to the studio, sir. And we still have, of course, with us Mr. Salmon Salami, Media Director, Justice Pen Alliance, in the studio. It's also a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Remain with us. We have kept you for longer this morning, and I'm sure Nigerians are appreciative of the depth of analysis that you bring to our conversation in the studio. We will now take this report about the Nigerian Senate's reaction to insecurity in the country before we go into our conversation. Please stay with us.
Senator Aduda had attempted to move a motion to present an agreed ultimatum to President Buhari, but Senate President Ahmed Lawa ruled him out of order. The caucus said the impeachment issue was raised during a 2-hour closed-door meeting, but the Senate President was unwilling to allow the matter to be tabled at plenary despite their agreement.
We went into a closed session to discuss issues as they relate to security in this country, especially the happenings in Abuja and happenings all over the country. And we agreed that the primary responsibility of government is the protection of lives and property of citizens. And for us, the minority caucus in the Senate, we also took into cognizance the fact that the Senate had at various levels, at various times, convened various security meetings, various security issues were discussed, and we did recommend to government various steps and measures aimed at curbing these issues of insecurity. We realized that even Abuja that we are in is no more safe, and all of you will agree with us.
Aduda, who represents the Federal Capital Territory in the upper legislative chamber, raised the alarm that despite several resolutions reached by the National Assembly on the state of the nation on different occasions, the president has failed to act on any.
And so at the closed session, we agreed that we will give the president an ultimatum that failing which, if it is not complied with, will move immediately to give an impeachment notice.
Meanwhile, the lawmakers also chanted solidarity songs to buttress their stand. Lawmaker representing Sokoto East Senatorial District, Ibrahim Gobi, has been named as the new leader of the Senate and by extension, chairman of the All Progressives Congress caucus. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawa, made this announcement on Wednesday at plenary. He said Senator Gobi's appointment followed receipt of a letter from the national chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Adamu. Gobi is to replace Senator Yahya Abdullahi, who defected to the People's Democratic Party, PDP.
With reference to your letter number NAS 9S/SP/D/12-12, dated 16 June 2022, in which you informed the party of the vacancy for the office of the Senate leader of our party. Except here with the party's nomination of Senator Ibrahim Abdullahi Gobir, Sokoto East Senatorial District, as replacement for the Senate leader and chairman, APC Senate Caucus.
Well, you've seen the preview there of the Senate raising concerns, even though the president's response people, whether it is the special advisor on media or even the Minister of Communication, completely disparaging the actions of the Senate and describing it as babyish or balderdash, as one of them chose to use the language. Coming to you, Mr. Eneligu, Nigerians have been choking, to be honest. It has not been the same with us since the Kuje attack and the understanding that nearly 60 high-profile terrorists had regained freedom and joined what we had already been contending with. And then followed by that, we saw the Kuje attack. Then we saw the one in Kwali, close to the schools, that now prompted the alert for schools to shut down in the Federal Capital Territory. One would think that because it is the FCT, that is policed by the apex security organizations in Nigeria, that we shouldn't be in this kind of fear if the security agencies are up and doing. Where exactly should we situate this amount of fear that has enveloped the city? Is it in the failure of the security to meet their responsibility, or that our security have truly been overwhelmed?
Thank you very much. I think it's understandable, the concerns of the public and the fear and apprehension the attacks you mentioned has generated. I think a lot of people are on edge, and it's understandable, like I earlier said. But when you find a situation like this, I think the terrorists should be celebrating that they've been able to create this amount of hysteria. But I believe that the security agencies are taking necessary steps. It's unfortunate the Kuje attack, but I am sure we don't know the details of the Buhari incident. So, but everybody they were ambushed, they were all this. I don't know the details myself, so when I comment on such things, I am very careful. But suffice to say, I think the public should continue to have confidence, trust in their security services, the NPF, the DSS, and the military, as well as other security agencies. There is no society without crime. And now that we're in the rainy season, we have a lot of cover for these guys, and try to make a maximum use of it. So I think going forward, it's about what are those changes that can enhance the capacity and integrity of our security agencies. How, what are those things they need to do to be able to assuage the fears of the public? How do we build on integrity that will bring trust and confidence on the mind of the public? How do we prevent the fear of crime? How do we prevent the fear of terrorism as it pervades the FCT at the moment and other parts of the country? And I think the government and security realize and recognize that Abuja, as the capital city, the capital of Nigeria, is too important, too significant to toy with any issue of security. But like I'm trying to say, the public should not give in to the fear that these people are bringing. They have critical role to play, because the security agencies can do nothing. It is that partnership. And if we are able to think we make changes that can enhance the capacity and integrity, like I said, how do they respond when these incidents happen? Because you cannot prevent them; they will always happen. But what is going to be the response like? How is the public going to be motivated or galvanized to rise that, look, this is our battle? Because we all have a role to play. What role has the public public? What kind of education is brought to bear on the public to see that, look, these people want to break us down, and we cannot be broken, and we will cooperate.
Without breaking your thoughts there before I allow Ibrahim comes in, just to further expand this, the panic that we see with the public today seems to have actually been stimulated by the actions of the security agencies. Remember that even among the public are very enlightened and very educated people whose basic understanding of how some of this, the ease with which some of these crimes have happened, sort of defies logic. Let us take Kuje, for instance. You pass through a gas brigade, a check close to the Apex International Airport, and you come into that place, host an attack for 3 hours, no casualty on the part of these people. You free as much as 500 are still, about 500 of them are still at large. All of the high-profile ones, no one returned apart from the 1 or 2 intercepted, and they leave. And a lot of questions has been asked as to why we don't even have anything to work on. No CCTV footages. The distance between that place and the airport is just 23 kilometers. There could have been some amount of backup. And all that happened. And while we were still trying to contend with that, we heard that of the Buhari. Matter of fact, the security agencies were reluctant in confirming what had happened until the dead of the night. Whether or not they were attacked, whether or not they died or not, we didn't know until we understand that they were trying to fall an attack on the law school. And as we saw yesterday, the law event was taken back to town, which in itself is a signal to people who live around that place that we cannot guarantee the security of this event happening here. You would have thought that the government would have insisted that the event holds under the cover of some serious security apparatus, but it didn't. And then suddenly we saw the panic instruction from the Ministry of Education and from the FCT, and now Nasarawa State government asking schools to shut down abruptly. Some of them are taking exams, and they're saying, go home. We can't be held responsible for anything that will happen. So is the public not basically responding to a fear that has been induced by the government? There seems to be no coordination as to how even public informations are put across. We just make sense of what the government is doing and we try to take cover. How else should the government communicate this confidence that you're talking about?
Yeah, but I think in the time past when we had similar situation around the FCT and across, especially in the Northeast, the spokespersons of the various security agencies were having joint briefings. And also, I think the National Orientation Agency that should be in the forefront of mobilizing the public perhaps need to step up their game. But talking about some of these attacks, I think there will be consequences because if you were on duty at Kuje, and what kind of resistance did you put up? I am sure some of those things have been addressed. So the public must have confidence in government that in due course they are going to hear everything. Because once some of these things happen, I don't think anybody will let them just let them pass. You are going to institute investigation. I'm sure that will happen. And what is the purpose of those things? So the thing is, I think because of the prevailing atmosphere of great fear, I think there is a need, and I think they are doing that, to step up patrols. And these patrols should be structured in such a way that every part of FCT, for now and other places, should feel the impact. And the states that are contiguous to the FCT, there used to be this arrangement of G6, where the governors of the states contiguous to the FCT and the FCT minister used to hold meetings, because you can't keep the FCT safe and secure without the security of those states. Most of these attacks we are talking about, they may not emanate from the FCT, and I think I stand to be corrected. You have Jire, you have Kagarku, then, of course, around Abaji, and all these places. Therefore, you've got to have some kind of collaboration. So when you are talking about synergy among security agencies, cooperation and collaboration among various governments, what are you supposed? You've got to do certain things You've got to, meet and deliberate on these things. If that is done, we are going to have a lot of changes. But the police, are they receiving that support that should make them deliver? If you are going to have a robust response, what are you going to respond with? Of course, you're going to have weapons, you're going to have mobility, you're going to have a communication. You talked about CCTV. I'll be shocked if there were no CCTVs at the prisons. But maybe they didn't work. But today, I'm not sure we should have any part of FCT without CCTV coverage. It's difficult to imagine. How many police divisions we have in the FCT? A lot. How many have servicing vehicles? Even this 900,000 billion naira that is being released, how much is going to the MPF? And how? Because you've got to have an effective and efficient police force before you can have anything to do with crime. Because that of the military is an intervention. But on a regular basis, on a daily basis, if you are in your house and you make a distress call to the police, you expect them to respond, not the military. So on a day-to-day basis, because of police primacy in internal security, have we been able to match that primacy with the necessary resources? Because if you go to Somalia, at a stage, the police was not given that pride of place, and we're all aware of the consequences. I think we have a good police force, but are they resourced to be able to fulfill their mandate? Because I recall at a time when I was Assistant Commissioner of Police Operations, and then only people have forgotten, around 2007 to say 2012, Honorable Dr. Ali Modibo was
FCT Minister.
FCT Minister. And he came on board. He said, look, there's fear, just like we are having, there's palpable fear across the FCT. You drive out to get your car snatched, 10 to 12, 15 cars, around 2007. Banks were being attacked. If you go to the bank and make withdrawals, on your way, you get attacked. What did he do? They formed the Abuja Crime Control Squad, which was ACOS. Then, first of all, he bought 90 vehicles, 406, we called them Capital Patrol. He bought numbers of pickups, Hilux. And then he started the G6 initiative, having collaboration with states that are contiguous to the FCT. I don't know if that is working. And that time, if you could recall, when there is a distress call in any part of the FCT, you could have up to 5, 6, 7 police vehicles respond. And that gave confidence to the people. Robbery in the FCT stopped. If you get money from the bank, it stopped. Snatching of vehicles was reduced to only taking from where, removing from where parked. That is where you park, they use master key to remove them. So I think there should be a kind of intervention. Invite the police, the IG. What can we do to support you? Okay, we are having a lot of fear. We are having attacks on security forces, attacks on communities. People are being kidnapped and abducted. What can we do? Oh, I need 10 naira. If we give you 10 naira, can you reduce it? Yes, I can reduce it by 50. You give him the 10 naira. You give him, and you do periodic review. So, result-based budgeting. Now you tell him, you can do this, and I expect that the governors, that's what you do. Because if you don't have an effective police, how are they going to bring in the military? Because there is a process of military assistance to civil authority. And so if you don't have such a structure, and that's why when we are talking about security arrangement, or you call it security architecture, there is a process. But a situation whereby you have the military as the first line of contact, then you are going to have difficulty. You have anything two fighting, perhaps the force you get is military. You've got to have get the police. And if you don't do that, you're going to have problems. If you like, release 1 trillion to the military, and there is no commensurate resourcing of the police, and working in close synergy with the DSS and other relevant security agencies. If you do that, you're going to get any result, because let the National Assembly, they have they have the various senators and members of the House of Rep. They have various constituencies. Visit your police station. Ask them, what quantity of fuel do you get on a quarterly basis? How many vehicles do you have? What is their state? Can they respond? You as a member of the House, you as a senator, if you have distress, if you make a distress call, are you going to have police, except apart from those that are tied to you? So if you are not doing that, you release 900,000 billion, you release 1 trillion. Oh, you are joking. The police is the first line of defense. There is a progression.
Okay.
So
at this point, let's bring in Mr. Salami. And I'd like to. We've talked about a lot of things. Building confidence in the public through actions that some will say we haven't seen throughout for a long time, and we've also talked about synergy between security agents. In the aftermath of the Kuje attack, we heard a report that there were 44 security reports that were sent in before the attack actually happened. 44 security reports. Is there no way we could have had any sort of proactive response, or should I proactive idea to be able to forestall this attack before it happens? Because a lot of people are convinced the reason why people don't have confidence is because we are always reacting. This thing happens and then we react to it, and even the reaction, it's not really what people will want to see. So it's difficult to build confidence in this kind of situation. If you receive 44 security reports that something might happen, and at the end of the day it still happens, what can we do? Is there no way we can be able to stop this from happening? Right now we're hearing that Abuja is under threat. What is being done to stop this from happening, apart from telling schools to shut down and putting up 1 or 2 roadblocks here and there?
Honestly, let me first thank my brother, the Assistant Commissioner of Police retired, who just analyzed the thing from a professional point of view. Fear is the key that unlocks the wallet and handbags of the rich. What these bandits or these kidnappers and miscreants want to achieve is to instill fear into the populace. And I'm sorry to say, they have achieved that. There's palpable fear in the here now. Go to the gardens, like it used to be, bubbling. Go there now, by 6:37, you hardly see people there, because they feel insecure. And the primary responsibility of any government is the protection of life and property of the citizen. Any government that is unable to do that is not what being called government. What do we do? There is need to instill confidence in the people that yes, we are able and we are capable. We have the will and the power to deal with this situation. There is the need for effective risk communication. Government should engage the media constructively on this, so that give people the hope that, look, it is not lost. We are in charge, and they should be seen to be truly in charge.
Are they?
Come again?
Are they in charge?
Well, the government is in charge. The government is in charge. The government is still in charge. Honestly, if the government is not in charge, you will not be sitting down here. I'm telling you. There are challenges, no doubt about that. There are big challenges facing this country. But the government is still in charge. The government is in charge. That is one. Then two, talking about 900 billion voted, and that is not enough. I don't know how to put it. 900 billion is a lot of money, but the question is this: where did it go? Let's do the disbursement. How was it disbursed? How much did go to the police? Because, like my brother rightly pointed out, most of these jobs is the job of the police. The military are not cut out for this. But are the police adequately prepared to handle this situation? Are they well and adequately motivated? It's one thing to even have all the weapons and other things to work with. What of the motivation? It is the man at the end of the day that will use all these things we are talking about. The other time we saw 21 million given to how many?
50 million to 21 families.
50 million given to 15 million given to 21
the families of deceased.
Families of the deceased. Man, what are we talking? It only means you are telling me that life is cheap.
Mm-hmm.
If I know that my life is cheap, if I know that whatever happens to me, chances are that nobody will care for my family, your guess is as good as mine. How I will respond to any emergency if I were a policeman.
Talking about being in charge, I'm still staying with you, Mr. Salman. A couple of months ago, I was in Atlanta, and I went out jogging in the neighborhood. I think I've shared that story with you. And a neighborhood watch pulled over and asked if I was new in the community, and I said yes. They said, "Where do you live?" I said, "Honestly, I don't have the address, but I know my way."
Okay.
And it appeared as if they drove off. And as I jogged close to my host house, I saw that they passed again, perhaps to be sure that I was staying in that neighborhood. And this brings me to the question of, well, they call it state policing in one, or maybe community policing if you like. Whilst we are waiting for the government to come to the realization that they need to fund the police more, and even when they had reached that realization, start making even the budgetary evaluation or even making the cash available at a time when we are going to struggle to pay salaries. At community levels, at local levels, at council levels, what can the people do within the ambience of the law to also protect themselves? We are beginning to see governors asking their citizens to take up arms or what have you. Is there a window where the people can provide a stopgap support to the police? We have seen that with other agencies of government. We now produce our transformers, we buy our wires, we even though at the end of the day we still pay NEPA bills or whatever to the PHC, to the power holding companies. Is there a window to support the police in our locality, or maybe come up with an alternative arrangement that can provide extra legroom for the security agencies in a bid to at least preserve ourselves?
Honestly, let us face the fact. Security is not the job of the police alone. It's the job of everybody. At our level, there is the need for the citizenry to provide informed information to the police. Because police will work with information. Are we really willing? Are we readily giving it to them? And are we giving credible information to the police? Even if we are not, why are we not doing that? Do we have confidence in the police? Do Nigerians have confidence in the police? If they don't, we are doing ourselves. Because if armed robbers come, you won't call thugs. It's the police you still call. So there is the need for us to repose confidence in the security apparatus of this country, especially the police. And of course, you earn trust. You don't demand trust. As the police earned our trust, even if they have not, we still need to trust our police because we do have alternative. That's one. Then two, we will come to it. We are just postponing the evil day. There is the need for state police. I don't want to say community police now because the state, to police effectively, you need to carry arms. And of course, we all know that we cannot, as citizens, carry arms. It is illegal. And you cannot say because you want to protect yourself, you have, if they know you have a gun that is not licensed, you are in trouble, regardless of what anybody says. You can't use illegality
to effect
legality. It's just not possible.
But Donald Trump would tell you, was it? No, the pro-gun people association in the U.S. would say the only way to stop the bad guy with a gun is to arm the good guy with a gun. I mean, the arguments abound. If it's getting to a level where waiting for state intervention would mean inviting your death, is it wrong that we begin to revisit those conversations?
Clearly, you see, I don't want us to get to a state of anarchy, Obesian state, where life is short and brutish. Look, whether you want to believe this or not, we have not gotten to that level where we should be having guns. We have not gotten to that. We have not gotten to that. No two ways about that. Don't let us miss word. We have not gotten to that. But I also know that the man who comes to your house with a gun is emboldened because he knows you do not have a gun. If he knows that you have something, perhaps he will think twice before coming to your house. That is not to say that everybody should now get a gun. No, we have not gotten there. But even at that, I will plead with the government to please treat the situation we are in with all the sense of responsibility it deserves. Things are bad.
Mr. Inaluku,
yes,
okay.
I wanted to follow up the question he asked, but if you...
Okay, go on.
Yeah, in addition, I think a lot of people are not aware of certain programs of government. And when we talk, how can the public support security agencies? And state governments are setting up Amotekun, Ebebeagu, and the rest of them. But let me just read something to you. When he was talking, you know, in May 2020, when Mohammed Adamu was in Inspector General of Police, the president approved the reawakening of community policing system, the type you talked about in the US. In May 2020, this president approved the reawakening of community policing. And what did he do? Now, he said they should be involved in the utilization of constables as provided in Section 50, Subsection 1 of the Police Act 2004. The initiative involves the recruitment of 40,000 community policing officers, whom the UK call special constabularies, for the Nigeria's 47 and 44 local government areas. Now, what is that supposed to be? And I'm aware FCT started. And the federal government said, look, we will pay for the first 1,000. We'll pay their salary. But they will have to operate within their communities. And I know a lot of billions was released for that program. That means they are going to wear police uniform, but their numerals will be 3. This police, like 6, the regular police. But their uniform is going to be, if you have gone to Nigeria Security Printing and Minting, you see them there. If you see that affair, you think they are regular police officers. Why are state governments
not keen
in? Federal government to pay the first 1,000 you recruit. The other ones, if you live around Nyanya, they will recruit you there and deploy you in that community. That's what you are talking about. Policing is not about carrying weapons. And I pray that in responding to the threats, they will not deploy military patrol to the city.
Which we have already seen with heavy checkpoints hindering free movement.
Abuja, without being accused of bias, Abuja is too strategic, too important. Because we say we are going to attract foreign direct investment. A lot of high-profile visitors coming into the FCT and into Abuja. In those days when Liberia was at war, and I see military patrols mounted with gun truck parading the city, my prayer is that we don't get to that stage. Let the government do everything they can, provide for the police to be able to respond, at least within, from the airport to the city, within the city center, but in the outlying districts of Kuje, of Kwali, of Abaji, of Buari, Karshi, we can have some level of military patrols. But within the city, let it be police patrols. And even those police patrols, not mounted, not officers, even just the regular officers that you see, but proper supervisory management in place in such a way. You see, what you talked about proactivity and preemptiveness. That is, if you get information they are going to attack Kuje prisons, what are those likely places? Who stays in those barracks? The bush behind, who are those people there? You've got to have proactive policing action, that you begin to interrogate people, you begin to make arrests, and you begin to infiltrate with DSS, with SIB, military intelligence, and the rest of them. So it should not get to the extent of exchanging gunfire. It should be nipped in the bud. The locations should be stormed. And so you support the police. For example, within the city, you have a place, Area 1, Dagba. You have Mabushi behind the Ministry of Works. You have many of these places. You don't wait. You have so many uncompleted buildings. You begin to upturn those. You begin to storm those places. You begin to make arrests, interrogate people. The immigration begin to work. That man, Megad, in that house. Where is your document? Where are you from? This concerted effort is what is going to bring down. And so, like you talk about local government, you go to the ward level. You begin to have World Security meeting. They pass their resolution to the district or to the area council. They deliberate on it. They pass to the FCT Security Committee. And they begin to deliberate. And you see, the temperature
will just drop.
Just going down.
Interesting. I wish we had all the time in the world to give more to Mr. Enalegu there to provide some of this in-depth analysis.
And it's Assistant Inspector General of Police.
Yes. So we've been talking with Assistant Inspector General of Police, Mr. Wilson Enalegu, who has, carried us on a journey, if you like, a masterclass on what we should be doing to restore confidence among the citizens of this country, not just in the FCT, but everywhere else in this country. And also joining us is our father, who has been in the studio since the commencement of this flight. It's been a wonderful experience riding with you, Mr. Salman Salami, for joining in this conversation and providing those in-depth perspective from the angle of a civilian and civil society. This is where we draw the curtain for today's edition. You can be very sure that we will have to trap Mr. Enalegu back into the studio some other days to continue this conversation. The insights are quite helpful. I am Sunday Michael Ogo. Please stay with us tomorrow as we do this again.
Well, thanks for joining us on this ride today on Daybreak. Let's do it all again tomorrow. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.